All right, let's get to it. It wasn't Robert Saleh on the golf course announcing that they've finally acquired Aaron Rodgers. That was just the preliminary. They have signed a former Packers quarterback. Tim Boyle is now on the depth chart in New York as we continue to wait for the Aaron Rodgers deal to get done. Now, Tim Boyle knows the offense, knows the Nathaniel Hackett offense, 2 years in Green Bay when Hackett was the offensive coordinator, so it makes sense. Tim Boyle was with the Lions for most of the last 2 seasons, signed by the Bears off the practice squad in late 2022. Zach Wilson, Chris Streveler, Tim Boyle for now. I have a feeling Streveler is going to be odd man out by the time it's all said and done. Once Aaron Rodgers arrives, Aaron Rodgers takes over, and Myles, it's just a matter of time. We had some fun earlier this week with Craig Carton suggesting that the 49ers could get involved. And I guess Carton's radio partner at WFAN said to him on the air, you're being used by the Packers to get the Jets nervous because here you are in the New York market and to get the Jets to pull the trigger on this trade before they trade him to somebody else, as if they would. I mean, Rodgers has said who he wants to play for. Even though he used the word intention, and intentions can change, I can't imagine Rodgers pivoting back to the 49ers, and I don't think the Packers want to put him on the 49ers. So I think this gets done, Myles, possibly when the Jets are on the clock with one of their 2 second-round picks 3 weeks from tonight. That's the ultimate deadline. That's when the chariot turns into the pumpkin. If you're going to have a second-round pick in this year's draft as part of the package, and that's the one thing I think they agree on, second-round pick this year. The question is, what's it going to be in 24? And what protection will the Jets have in 25 in the event that Aaron Rodgers only plays 1 season? Do they get something back from the Packers in 25 if he doesn't play in 24? They just have to work that out. And why would you land the plane prematurely? If you move to your bottom line position before that pick is on the clock, there's a chance you're going to get squeezed off of it. The 2 circles of the Venn diagram need to kiss right at the moment that it's time for the Packers to step into one of those 2 second-round picks the Jets have, and they're consecutive. They picked up the Browns second-rounder with the Elijah Moore trade. They have back-to-back picks in round 2. I think the deal gets done when the first of those 2 picks goes on the clock.
Yeah, and frankly, I think that makes sense. You continued your good day of strong metaphors and analogies with the whole Jets and landing the plane there. I see what you did. So look, there's no urgency right now. I mean, we're about to have Easter weekend. Nobody really wants, I think, to get this trade done right now when, you have a holiday weekend. So it's one of those things
whoa, time out.
What?
Time out. It was 13 years ago on Easter Sunday when all of a sudden, it was time for everyone who covers the NFL to mobilize because they traded Donovan McNabb from Philadelphia to Washington on Easter Sunday. So maybe history repeats itself at about 4 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Maybe we need to have one eye on New York and Green Bay on Sunday. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. But that did happen.
Okay. Well, I didn't remember that. So that's a good pull by you. I guess I kind of didn't really live through that because I was still in grade school and not
high school, grade school.
Well, I was in high school then actually now as I think about it. But either way, we'll see when this happens, when there's some urgency. There's no real deadline right now. So it's either going to be when we least expect it or like you said, on that Friday night when the Jets have back-to-back picks at, I think it's 42 and 43 overall. That would make sense for when the trade gets done because that's when the Packers could then get on the clock and choose who they want to choose. So there's just deadlines for action. There's no real deadline right now. Aaron Rodgers intends to play for the Jets. The Jets intend for Aaron Rodgers to play for them. It's only a matter of time when that's going to happen. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I really do believe it will be. And look how close we are now. And I remember when, before we had Aaron Rodgers come out on Pat McAfee's show and say it's his intention to play for the Jets, it was leaning that way. Trey Wingo, and it's funny, Trey Wingo, I don't want to start any more issues than I already have with people. But I mean, he said the deal's done, and it's 4 weeks later, and it's still not done. And he did a victory lap when Aaron Rodgers said he intends to play for the Jets. He did a victory lap over something that still hasn't been proven right. It will be proven right, but to say the deal was done on the Monday before Aaron Rodgers says it's his intention to play for the Jets, but the Packers are dragging their feet, and 3 weeks and 2 days later, the deal still isn't done, he wasn't right. I just think that's chutzpah, baby. That's nerve to come out and do your victory lap before you've actually won the race. So well done there. I'm not hating. I'm appreciating. But what was my point? Oh, before any of that happened, what we had heard was the Packers are content to wait until the draft. And it's like, oh, that's 6 weeks away. Well, we're already more than halfway there. And at this point, that's the only reason that they would be waiting, is to get to the draft. Everybody knows it's going to happen. Get to the draft, get it done, and move on. So, and really, if it happens during the second round of the draft, it won't be a surprise. Maybe they work it out in that 18 hours or so between the end of round 1 and the start of round 2. Maybe they work it out then. But the other thing, too, before we take a break, because we need to, one of the basic draft philosophies is never acquire a pick if you're moving up or moving in. Never acquire that pick until it's on the clock. Because if you get it early, then that's when others start trying to guess what you're going to do and consider jumping you. So just as a basic rule of draft mechanics, if you're the Packers, you don't want that pick until it's on the clock, period. Yeah. You don't want to do it in advance. Even if everybody knows you're going to do it, you don't want to do it in advance. So that's another reason for us to say it'll happen during the draft on Friday night, 3 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mike, because if the Packers do that and, you know whether it's 42 or 43, then you understand that, okay, here's the positions that they could be targeting. And, it could be anybody, right, that wants to then say, all right, I'm going to go up to 39 to make sure that I get the player that I want, that I think could also potentially fit what the Packers do. So I think that's a really good point by you.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.